Yeah, and Muzzy's going to have another unfavourable match if he's going to get through. And as you see there, he has banned not the Odd Rogue, but the Warlock. And that is because he's got to find a win somehow with his Togwaggle Druid.
True. I mean, quarterfinal will be guaranteed to have a foreign player because that'll be Surrender against Frozen. But anyway, we are going into game number 1 with the Death Rattle Hunter from BloodTrail up against the OTK Paladin from Muzzy. And this, I think, is a show match that Fino just posted about. And I really think that, in my opinion, as somebody who's played a lot of OTK Paladin, the Death Rattle Hunter is favored just because of the AoE style from the Paladin. It's quality and deal, you know, either with Pyromancer or Consecrate, and that can pop eggs even though it kills the big minions, and it's just really difficult to clean up the board as a whole.
Yeah, you do get a bit of free reign if you get that call to arms early to sort of draw through a deck so quickly you can get it done. And some of the other hunters are worse for you, I feel. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I'm not going to, if Fino's running as a show match, I'm not going to commit until after that show match or what I think.
True.
We've learned a lot from those show matches on Fino's streams over the year.
Is definitely still in contention, and both players have quite a decent hand. BloodTrail with double eggs and, well, at least one Death Rattle activator for them. If he wants to use the cube on the egg, it still remains to be seen. But as for Muzzy, he has True Silver into Call to Arms, into Tarim if need be, and eventually Uther. And Muzzy is going to straight up respect this egg, pop it right now, and I really think this is a good call.
Yeah, I think from the mulligan, I didn't catch it as we were busy introducing, but I suspect that BloodTrail actually kept the play dead. Maybe. If you kept 2 cards, then Muzzy would have the realization that you've got to kill it immediately. And also, obviously, with the qualities and stuff going on, as his removal, he needs to get rid of eggs.
And it works out pretty well for BloodTrail because he still has the second egg and play dead. But if he expects that Muzzy is already sitting on Pyro Equality, that'll be a full clear, because Muzzy uses the second charge of the True Silver to pop the second egg and then deals with the 5/5s with Equality Pyro, and then that will be the end of the early game for BloodTrail. So that's why he holds onto it and just plays out this Tar Creeper.
Yeah, Call to Arms doing its job, bit of removal, bit of blocking, some cards, just exactly how the deck is built.
Urge's Protector is insane, man. If the Star Creeper weren't on the board, it would eat 6 damage. And even still, BloodTrail is respecting things just to set up a better cube, and this now makes it really awkward for Muzzy to go for Equality Consecrate because he can't simply True Silver away the cube.
Yeah.
It's protected by a ton, and its health total is just too high.
So this helps a bit. He can look in terms of, can I get a Tarim? Not now, obviously, but sometime very soon if possible. But that damage is mounting up so quickly.
Tarim looks okay here because it allows him to clear 2 minions. And then with the 2 3/3s on board, BloodTrail might want to trade away the cube, in which case Muzzy can then pull the trigger on Equality. He doesn't have the activator yet, but he could get it sometime soon. Call to Arms is also an option because it could pull some more minions to make Tarim even better. But from the way the board looks, it looks like BloodTrail would be able to get every value trade he wants. So Muzzy is going to go ahead with the Tarim right now. And this game is going at a rapid fire pace, Lorinda.
And it's going to go even faster after this next turn from BloodTrail with Hunter's Mark play dead available.
Oof.
With 5/5s in the cube, the Hunter's Mark to clear. So this is going to be a lot of damage. It's going to keep the cube alive for the Equality Consecration. And Muzzy is in a world of trouble.
Trail just needs to be a little bit careful about how he wants to partition his threats, or rather present them on the board. He doesn't want to pop his Death Rattles always because of that Equality, so he is going to trade away a Devil Sword instead of the cube here. I'm curious to see if he wants to play down the egg. It makes sense because
I think so.
Yeah, because there's still a True Silver charge. It can kill either the cube or the egg. So if only one of those Death Rattles is on the board, Muzzy can very well get a full clear.
Yeah, BloodTrail, and this is something that we highlighted yesterday, just taking his time there, make sure the flanking strike isn't the right play. Not because he thinks it is, but because of mistakes he made when he was sort of first exposed to the cameras, playing way too quickly. And now he's learned to just slow down, double check himself. And honestly, this guy could be the world champion at the end of this year. Well, in April anyway.
I mean, all of them have a chance, and that is a Pyro draw from Muzzy, but it is a little bit awkward here because he wouldn't be able to clear the remaining 5/5 from the Devil Sword egg. So instead, he's going to present a board that's awkward for BloodTrail to deal with. and hope that he can pop the death rattles on time for a full equality clear.
Yeah, from where Muzzy's sat, it doesn't look too bad, but obviously this second play dead is definitely a nuisance. And with Spite-Ridge Steed in hand, BloodTrail is going to slow down rather a lot. But this is where the Death Rattle Hunter becomes so strong, with the second half of the 2 decks that are built into one deck with Death Rattle Hunter, with Katharina and all that other nonsense coming up.
The thing about the play dead is that it wouldn't be so scary just to rip it now if Muzzy could stick his Pyromancer, but we see that BloodTrail can flanking strike the Pyro, and so Muzzy won't actually have an equality activator for himself next turn. Of course, he has few chances to draw it between Loot Hoarder and the natural draw. And BloodTrail looks like he's hesitating a bit, although the hand looks super light that I feel like he wants to force out the equality, because on this board, Muzzy doesn't feel the pressure. So yeah, he's gonna go for it now. There's a Consecrate, my goodness.
Yeah, that's going to help significantly,
Right.
especially as he can now choose to proc the cube on his own.
So there's a funny thing about this, that Muzzy's board is only 4 damage, but you need 5 to pop both the cube and the egg. I wonder if there's an order here that allows him to use the equality to maybe trade. But you definitely want to pop the cube over the egg because it has 2 minions in it.
Yeah, I don't know, I think he doesn't care. It should be a 5/5, and I mean, he cares. That's why he's taking his time. But he should be able to deal with a 5/5 with a Spite-Ridge Steed.
Yeah,
And then he gets into his Uther turn next turn, stabilizes on health,
it's fine.
and hope your opponent doesn't draw Katharina.
I think Muzzy's also thinking if there's an order to maybe have it end up so that the cube or the Devil Sword off of the egg has a low health, but I don't see a way for that to happen.
He may also have been thinking about how he wins the game. Like, he's got Uther next turn, he's got double bounce in
True.
hand and a timeout. He's probably just getting the ordering of all that
Right.
clear in his head for future turns. Because that's just going to be end of game at that point.
This is brutal though for BloodTrail. He has nothing but a Grizzly, although Katharina off the top could still make things really difficult for Muzzy. Not it.
Might be for next turn, though.
Yep.
Just point out that Muzzy's ordering was perfect. It's
Yes.
the 5/3, not a 5/5 at the end of everything.
That was the best way to do it. These are not so great. Spider Bomb is not killing any minion of substance. I guess you could take the Candle Shot just to have the Devil Sword push face.
Depends how far behind you think you are. With the Shore, you can put it there and just say, okay, you can't play Uther because you have to deal with Shore, except the 1/1's tidy it up. So maybe he waits. Maybe he thinks he can't beat an Uther right now, in which case he just plays the Shore and says, I've seen a lot of your removal, but he's going to go for the play you suggested, which is try and keep things nice and tight.
Oh, yeah, and the thing about pushing face is that he still couldn't have cleared the Kangor there, so instead he's just gonna try and defeat it over 2 turns, but Uther is gonna come down right on time. Muzzy with the timeout for more survivability, and all 3 bouncers with 10 cards still left in deck. That is a nuts OTK Paladin draw.
Yeah, you
if I
don't
do say
lose
so.
very often when you get Uther in on the board with Kangor still alive. Just look at that health total. Back to the 30 he started on. He's actually ahead on health after all those early exchanges, despite he's done very little.
Muzzy's OTK Paladin list runs no redundancy in the bouncers, so it's just the 2 Ancients and the Zola. There's no Youthful Brewmaster. Ooh, Katharina. But honestly, Muzzy has so much time. He's just...
Yeah.
The weapon can take out the Devil Sword for free. He has all 3 bouncers. He has a timeout, another timeout left in the deck.
Do you like 2 timeouts or do you like 1?
I am not completely sold on the ideal list yet, but...
Yeah, I think that's
it's tough
definitely
to
a
say,
point. I think
yeah.
there's cards in here like Lanissa that are still
whole-
finding
yeah.
their feet in the deck.
The whole Lanessa package is up in the air. Whether you want to include Pixie is a thing. I mean, Shaxi had that in his list. Of course, now he's been eliminated, but it really did some work for him in previous series.
And Muzzy there just playing a bit more defensive because instead of bouncing the Horseman, he's just chosen to bounce the Zola, which presents a bigger board just to defend against accidents here.
Yeah, and it just works out that the bounce effect that he needs to combine with the hero power is a bit cheaper that turn. I'm not sure if the 1 mana makes a big difference. And BloodTrail is finally starting to piece together some pressure with this Katharina, but Is it going to be enough? Muzzy has timeout. He has Spike Ridge Seed, but BloodTrail, like, then again, has Hunters. Oh, 2 timeout. Yeah, so if Muzzy hits the rolls right, this is just 100%.
So if he gets it 100%, it's 100%.
If he hits the 75 and the 50%, it's 100% win. Yeah. I mean, what I mean is that he can do this consecutively because he has the timeouts.
Yeah, and this is about whether he thinks he can ever die if he plays Spike Ridge Steed as a 3rd timeout. So he could consider that just to get those percentages close to that 100% you're talking about.
What he could be thinking about is that if he misses the hero power, of course, he will need another turn to survive. And this looks like the best turn to Steed because BloodTrail could likely clear off the Ancient Brewmaster next turn.
Yeah.
Because if Muzzy times out, well, BloodTrail will just attack a minion.
So he chose to roll first, so he got more information on the decision. He now knows that he's okay.
Yes. Can bounce the Death Lord Nazgrim and has Darian already in hand, just needs Thoros and or White Mane, and then the hero power gets the last one. And timeout is just such a sick card. I mean, look at this, it's way better than Ice Block just because you can play it at your own initiative. I mean, trigger it, and then you can even hit with a weapon without taking any damage.
I don't know why I hoofed there. I was like, yeah, that's amazing, but you can't hit anything with it because that's not how the game works when timeout's been played.
Still amazing. I mean, the thing about this is that if Muzzy wants to clear this kind of wide board again, assuming the King Crush gets played, he would need Equality plus Pyro / Consecrate. And if the combination is Equality Consecrate, he will not have the mana to go Hero Power Zola along with that. But if the combination is Pyro Equality, he will have the mana.
No peace.
And that is a repeat on the Darian Mograine. So Muzzy has to survive one more turn. Well, maybe another turn if he misses the 50-50 again. Start with some cycle. Looking for that Shirvala, I assume. It could be a really big... It could give him a lot of breathing room.
And picking up the Lunessa just makes the Spike Ridge Steed so much better there. This is where Lunessa is really good, obviously. It means he can afford to miss it again next turn.
Spider Bomb would have been really great here if it had an activator.
Yeah, he's got through a lot of activators. I don't think he's allowed all 4 in the top 20. I guess you are.
BloodTrail's Beast package is not running Undasta. I think the only remaining Beast is the other Grizzly. So this is going to be quite a bit of pressure, but Muzzy has saved the second timeout for this contingency. And it's going to be another 50-50 roll.
Feels like the early days of Shudderwock. I mean, Shudderwock was always a little bit sort of build up your percentage, but...
That's a rare horseman. It's the Inquisitor Whitemane, and this will spell doom for BloodTrail as Muzzy plays out Darian, Nazgrim, and Whitemane to hero power for the Thoros and the lethal. Next turn.
And nothing BloodTrail can do. And timeout is such a powerful new card.
It's insane.
This has just been a tradition in card games. Anything that says your opponent can't really have a go has always been really good.
Timeout is really, really good against these types of decks, Death Rattle Hunter, because their late game is where they can piece together a 2-turn lethal really easily in the late game. And timeout is really good because it can negate more damage at that point. Against aggro decks, though, I think timeout is not that great because you find it hard to weave it in a turn where you're actually also answering the board.
A little bit more refining to become the actual power.
You're queuing up game 2, which will be a Death Rattle Hunter mirror. And Muzzy with the fire start of the coin egg into Stalker, even with the play dead follow-up. My goodness.
Yeah, that's looking good, and that is all about the early game in this matchup. Pretty much all of the time. Obviously, there are other factors, but sometimes you just win. Oh, there's Katharina.
Wow.
Which is the best card, I believe, in the mirror, oddly enough.
Yeah, outside of, best individual card, because the egg on its own doesn't do much unless you get these kind of activators from Muzzy. And the hand from BloodTrail is removal, but he can't actually deal with the egg itself, which means that the Spider Bomb, after there are now Devil Swords on the board, the Spider Bomb runs the risk of just killing the egg and creating more problems for BloodTrail. Yeah,
BloodTrail's hand isn't terrible, but compared to Muzzy's, it's pretty grim. Do you think... So I don't normally talk about Conquest pick order because it's a meme for the large part. But with BloodTrail being known to have had moments of nerves on stage, Do you think Muzzy's deliberately left the Druid till last, just to make sure he gets some wins on the board, rather than make BloodTrail feel comfortable?
I don't know if Muzzy is looking at this from how he can mess with BloodTrail rather than maybe just give himself more momentum, because he knows that the Druid is going to have a really rough time getting there. But I also know that a lot of pros just believe that, in Conquest, just RNG your pick. And
Yeah, I mean, they are correct 99% of the time. I just wonder, because it's specifically BloodTrail and he's got history of nerves in the past, maybe you want to be as close to 2-0 as you can.
Yeah, I really couldn't say, Lorinda.
I doubt it, but Muzzy does consider every aspect of the game.
BloodTrail forced to Hunter's Mark this Devil's Sword so that he has a way to try and answer it with the Tar Creeper, and he has to do this before Muzzy's cube is online, so it seems really, really grim, but necessary.
Yeah, at least he's going to be able to get his own cube off, and from where he's sat, maybe it's not too bad.
Look at Muzzy's hand, though. Terror Scale, Play Dead.
Yeah,
Just
it's
two
insane.
more 5/5s and a 3/3. What more could you want?
I mean, the clue as to how good this hand is that he hasn't saved coin for Katrina.
Yeah.
Like, normally you would just save coin Katrina on 7 and win the game, but he hasn't even bothered to do that. He's just going to terrorize with the Stalkers.
I think a lot of the time, if you can coin egg into Terror Scale, you take that, especially in the mirror. But BloodTrail will get the bad news eventually. If the game even goes on till turn 8, he will get the bad news that Katrina's coming down anyway. And yeah, I think the thing that Muzzy is unsure of is whether he wants to pop the egg from BloodTrail. But I think ripping more Death Rattle activators seems so strong here. Looking at the text from BloodTrail, he does not run Mind Control tech.
So Muzzy thinks he's so far ahead that the only way he loses is if BloodTrail does what he's doing.
Yeah.
So he thinks, okay, I can delay this a turn because BloodTrail can only beat me with his own stupid turn.
Makes sense. It's a very cautious play. And it also removes shenanigans with Cube from BloodTrail's possible courses of action.
And now he just gets to go nuts on turn 5, a turn slower than many people would. There's a Cube!
Wow. Okay, the only Death Rattle procer left is the second Play Dead, but I mean, this seems so strong.
Yeah, it seems absolutely nuts. Again, for where Muzzy sat now, maybe he'll be thinking, okay, what do I do about BloodTrail's turn 8 Katrina? BloodTrail gets to play Katrina first, so Muzzy will be trying to set up turn 7 with the biggest possible board, so that if Katrina comes down, he can deal with it, and if it doesn't, he wins with his own version of her.
BloodTrail has spider bombs, and I guess the saving grace for BloodTrail is that the contents of this cube are just eggs, so that even if the bomb goes onto the cube...
Yeah, you'll take it. It buys you time.
Right, yeah. And from BloodTrail's perspective, he's seen 2 Death Rattle activators, so he's not that scared of there being eggs on the board. But we see from Muzzy's hand that he has the Terror Scale Stalker, and I think that's a big part of why Muzzy was comfortable just cubing the eggs.
And BloodTrail really doesn't have much option here. I mean, he does, obviously. There's 5 cards in his hand. He can do many different things, but the Spider Bomb and probably the other one just seems better to me.
Yeah, what is the Witchwood Grizzly doing? It's a 3/8.
Yeah.
And both of these minions could trade over it while still surviving. So BloodTrail is going to make a desperation play here. Cute Magnetic.
Well done, Muzz.
This is a stomp, Lorinda.
This is nutso.
And it really looks like BloodTrail is on the Katharina draw to even survive in the next 2 turns. Yes, Grizzly can stall on this next turn, but he's not winning unless he's going to put on some of his own pressure.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if he should have magnetic that one. In hindsight, you could have had 2 separate bombs and things could have gone very wrong in that regard, but also they were more likely to activate.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly he was playing around there. Rexar is really slow. It's not going to deal with any of these minions, so I like that BloodTrail is going to try and force the trades to soften up the minions and then rip the Rexar, but wow, that means that Muzzy will be the first to land Katharina onto the board, and that is pretty much going to be GG.
Yeah, Rexar's kind of grim in the mirror. It's just very slow and you're constantly fighting for board, and things don't have 2 health very often. He says there's a 2 health minion
Muzzy
out
doesn't
there.
even need Katharina.
No, it's just been an absolute, You said it very early on, like, you might not even see the Katharina in this game, and we don't think we're going to.
BloodTrail, from his perspective, can survive by going Hunter's Mark Rexar, but he knows that things are just bad.
Okay, so Muzzy's ban strategy has now proved to be correct.
Yeah.
Because now he has the maximum chance of getting the Togwaggle through.
Uh-huh.
And let's see if he gets it done.
They have to go wide, then you just rip the Spreading Plague.
So yeah, BloodTrail is presumably saving that Rogue. And again, you get so much armor as Druid that Rogue is very good at dealing, I said this yesterday, doing exactly 30 damage, maybe a little bit more. But armor can really interfere with it.
Will be the even Paladin up first, though, and BloodTrail has the Amani for 2. He has Blessing of Kings. That's always great, even when it doesn't land on Corpse Taker, it's just a ton of damage. But Muzzy, double Spellstone start. He also has, if he really wants to, he can go Coin Growth into Oaken, which is really strong, so...
Coin Growth on 2. Never thought I'd be saying that.
I mean, it used to just be like, back in Jade Druid, you coin the, oh god, what's it called?
Yeah.
Blossom, coin Jade Blossom. It's strong.
I just never thought I'd need 3 mana for a Wild Growth. Didn't think it was going to happen. So BloodTrail getting as much on the board as possible before Spreading Plague time.
Honestly, Muzzy has a really insane opening versus Odd Rogue. The Coin Growth into Okens, into double Spellstone, and Plague for the follow-up is about as good as you can ask for. But the way that the Divine Shield and the Blessing of Kings pan out, it's going to be a little bit awkward for Muzzy to deal with this 6-7. He'll probably have to rip the Naturalize, and thus BloodTrail will have a couple more options as to how he wants to proceed.
I did wonder if BloodTrail might get rid of maybe one of the 1/1s there before trading in. Didn't expect him to, but certainly your 1 turn from the Plague now, that was your last chance to liquidate your board.
So Muzzy has the option to try... I mean, he could technically double Spellstone to get rid of the Amani here, but I think it seems pretty bad. What he could be thinking about is whether he wants to hero power down the Recruit after he naturalizes this Amani, because he certainly wants to Plague soon. And not hero powering will give BloodTrail the information that he has Plague in hand.
Yeah, and he's got a chance to Plague on 7, depending if he goes with some of your plays there, where he can Plague Naturalize at the same time and really just get rid of the 1 big minion, because this is how the Paladin deck functions. 1 big minion, lots of friends.
Yes.
And so if you kill the big minion and Plague his friends. So I think that would be where he's paying some attention there.
Yeah. He is going to try and soften up this Argent Protector, which is going to signal to BloodTrail, I've got the Plague.
I've got the swipe, is what he's trying to say as well.
Oh, true.
So I'm going to clear your board with swipe, so you've got to put more things down.
What are you going to do about it, BloodTrail?
Your magic shall not save me.
Feels awful to have to use Spellbreaker like this, but it really doesn't have much use in this particular matchup, and Muzzy is going to stabilize just like that. BloodTrail can land the Steed, but Muzzy has so much time to try and build up some more towards his UI.
Yeah, the trouble is with all this buff, it's just going to keep coming at you for quite a while yet. And there's stabilizing and there's hanging on. I think he's still hanging on at this point.
Spellstone can clear off the...
Ooh, now the game's maybe getting close to stabilizing.
Oh my goodness. I was going to say TJ, sorry.
That's fine, I'll take it.
Yeah, you called me Cora a couple times, so we're even now.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's nuts. Honestly, Muzzy's hand is good enough that he could even... I mean, like, BloodTrail's hand is so high value that if Muzzy just rips Azalina next turn, we could see something even funnier.
Wow, yeah. I wonder if he's got any read. I doubt it, because BloodTrail has just been curving. But
yeah, no way. No way you do that.
When you play Greymane on 6 or 7, you do tend to tip that your hand is quite heavy. But yeah, he won't rip it, I don't think. He's got too much of a good hand going on. He doesn't need to panic right now.
This is Muzzy's first weak quote-unquote turn, but he's had enough time to hero power to fully charge the Spellstone and remove the Gen Greymane like it's nobody's business.
You can see that in the slower Druid decks, Wild Growth's nerf isn't anywhere near as impactful. Obviously, it changes your curve. Not necessarily in this deck, but in decks that traditionally play 4-drops, they're now going to have to play sort of value 5-drops, and currently there aren't many. But if Druid gets a value 5-drop anytime from now to the end of eternity, wild growth into this, whatever this new 5-drop would be, will be pretty strong.
It's landscaping, Lorinda. Landscaping into Tree Speaker. Anyway, BloodTrail has a really good turn now. Either Tyrion or Lich King is going to make the UI feel awkward for Muzzy. And the Lich King, yeah, I mean, it's technically more damage. It is more damage onto the board and starts just generating more value. So it definitely makes more sense than Tyrion on that particular turn. And Muzzy has a decision of whether he wants to try and soften up the Lich King or get rid of the 4/4.
Yeah, usually the answer is if this card is green, you have to take the downsides that come with playing it, which aren't many. So whenever I'm with Derek, I always try and convince him not to play UI on 10 just to see what he says, and he always says something really rude.
Arcane Tyrant gives Muzzy a little bit more board presence. And he's not even going to swing into the Stego with the Twig, which is a bit interesting to me. Trying to see if BloodTrail... Oh, BloodTrail has double ooze, so Muzzy knows this Twig is probably never going off.
Yeah.
So might as well not take the 2 damage. Makes sense.
He also has... We have to keep an eye on just playing Togwaggle. Not yet, but if there comes a situation where he can get a clear board. Or if BloodTrail... I think he gets 10 with the Lich King card.
And there's also Naturalize, so that could be a thing.
Just naturalize Tog and off you go. Do it the old-fashioned, not so good way, but hey, you've got a bad matchup. Looks like it might be a good time.
And it's not quite available yet. The thing about the Nat Tog play is that Muzzy really wants to rip this Naturalize now on the Lich King.
Yeah. BloodTrail did a good job there, making sure the Lich King card didn't put him onto 8.
Right. So if Muzzy wanted to go Naturalize and Tog, BloodTrail would still have hand space to get that ransom card, so that's not quite an option for Muzzy just yet. Muzzy smartly using the Twig now just to proc this Noble Sacrifice or what could have been an auto defense matrix also.
Yeah, and BloodTrail's forces naturalize out, so that option is now removed. Because now he'll always be able to play stuff, so...
He has seen both Nat, so now Muzzy has to go for the time-tested, what's the word? Time-honored, yes. Time-honored play of the Togwaggle into Azalina, and he will have to use his Florist at some point to do that.
Yeah, having to play it the real way now. Again, that's BloodTrail did have a chance there to mess up because the Lich King card, that's the sort of thing that can go wrong, but...
Mana draw 3. When you put that Nourish alongside Alaneth and just think of the difference in value, it's pretty insane.
Yeah.
BloodTrail has the most options he could possibly have. Ripping the Frostmourne at some point seems really good. Tyrion itself is a lot of pressure. True Silver, Glass Knight, and Hydrologist. There's so many combinations.
But Muzzy has stayed in there again. BloodTrail can't really make too many more small minions for now because the second Plague is very likely with Muzzy down to only 7 cards in his deck. So BloodTrail does have to make sure that he actually starts doing some damage.
BloodTrail has the option of trading away the Hydro and maybe something else, and value trading with one of those Stegodons to create a narrower but taller board with Tyrion. Instead, he's just going to start swinging away with the Frostmourne now. It's actually a great minion, a great weapon against Plague in particular. It can one-shot a Beetle and revive things after you've killed off 2 of them.
A Florist.
Has quite a bit of time though. Sitting on a casual 40 health.
I think that might have been a Florist because it hasn't hit his hand.
Oh yeah.
He picked it up.
Great read, Lorinda.
So, next turn things begin to happen, or at least very soon when Muzzy's got it set up. This Frostmourne's actually a real nuisance.
So if Muzzy decides to rip the combo next turn, he's gonna get a Tyrion in his hand, and he's gonna get Doom Pact. That's a big one, because that means BloodTrail just cannot stick a board from then on. And if all else fails, Muzzy still has Plague Paths to stall.
Yeah, and depending on the trades, I think, BloodTrail's making sure he's got enough space for Frostmourne to activate. You don't want to fill your board up too much, you want to get those freebies when it goes off and gives you all those cards. And Muzzy needs to take care of some of this mess.
I think Muzzy's just drawn all the good cards in his deck now. If he wants to give it to BloodTrail right here, I mean, what's left of value? The other UI, an Oaken summons that summons nothing, I think.
Just needs to calculate he's not going to die in like 2 turns if he does go for it though. The board,
Yeah.
you want it a bit more stable, I think, first.
Yeah, makes sense. So he is going to rip the Plague Paths here. Can even tag on the Arcane Tyrant.
Yeah.
Pretty strong. So, is there ever a world that BloodTrail wants to Doom Pact here to burn his own deck and thus make the Tog swap less impactful?
Maybe. The trouble is, you also give them the tempo. So you do the Tog swap, and you've got 2 minions on board, and they, you know,
Me think.
if you Tog swap onto an empty board, you're just ahead by the fact your minions are okay. Of course, Tog and Azalina actually have their own health totals, so
This is quite an interesting situation. I mean, BloodTrail can do that and then try and play out his good minions. Like, okay, Corpse Taker / Last Night are the only threatening minions in his hand. The Avenging Rats, though, if Muzzy takes those, are very annoying to deal with because they can clear off that pressure. And essentially both players will have to win with what is currently on.
Must move quickly.
And if Muzzy is scared of something like that, he can still have the time to actually play the Malfurion and give him a superior hero power.
you can also keep the Arcane Tyrant in his hand like he did last turn.
Yeah.
So BloodTrail saving the 3rd Frostmourne charge so that if what we were talking about happens, he can steal a big board. There's 2 minions already tucked nicely in that Frostmourne. And so, you know, just smashing into Togwaggle and getting 3 minions back is a way of swinging the tempo around after the combo happens.
And this is really confusing. Why can't people just play Tog with Hakar? It's so much simpler than all this
Or
Azalina
not
stuff.
Druid.
Yeah, not Druid.
And
Okay.
definitely not any sort of stupid priest decks. That we might see later in another match we may have coming up.
No spoilers, Lorinda. All right, so
That's a
Muzzy
teaser, not a spoiler.
start with the swipe on there, and that is, of course, gonna revive the Corpse Taker without any buffs because those come from a battle cry.
Getting some use out of this,
Time waits for no one.
but
Yeah, he definitely wants the Malfurion down before he rips the Azalina. Doesn't want to negate this. And this puts him in a really good position if we're just going to look at head-to-head fatigue. So I don't think that BloodTrail ripping the Doom Pact is an option anymore.
things gives BloodTrail a lot more damage potential, obviously.
Yeah, I think that BloodTrail would really want to rip Avenging Wrath here to get rid of those spiders the best way. Muzzy does love that poisonous.
Okay, so there goes the Frostmourne. So this is, it's not the final push because BloodTrail's hand has a lot of direct damage in it. But if this push fails, I think BloodTrail would be in a world of hurt. I'm not sure how it fails.
Yeah, I mean,
honest.
this is a lot, and he can very easily clear the spiders with some combination of Avenging Wrath or True Silver if he wants to.
Can Muzzy get rid of BloodTrail's board with Avenging Wrath? Does he have time? Yeah, BloodTrail getting rid of one of them now anyway. Not just to clear the spiders, but just to
and
less stuff to steal.
And oh, he missed one.
Wow.
Oh, well, that's still fine because he just trades in the Kangor, and he still has the mana to go for this big play with the Blessing of Kings. Yeah, Muzzy just doesn't have the time now because he's played both plagues.
Yeah, and BloodTrail's managed this really tastily.
That Frostmourne is. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he saved the charge for the right moment by the look of it. He was saving them as long as he dared. Now Muzzy's just going to go for what he can.
So there is.
There's a Doom Pact in hand, though, that he's going to steal.
Yeah, but he's just dead this turn.
Yeah.
He's just dead. I think, because Muzzy will go up to 27 after the hero power. There is 14, 18, 22, 23 on board, and True Silver makes that 27 real clean. Even if Yeah, I mean, there's also the Avenging Wrath, so...
Yeah, he gives it up. You've seen the hand now.
Yep.
2-1. And the Druid deck, as predicted and foretold, it's the same thing, right?
This lineup that should be unfavored, so...
Yeah, if he
So
gets
the
through
answer is
this
still
one,
yes, he has a good chance. Yeah.
He sort of becomes favoured, and he's got 2 chances to win this one still.
That's a Fledgling. And that's no Spellstone, but Muzzy could naturalize the Fledgling.
Yeah, that is also a twig.
It is. And BloodTrail, I really thought he would queue up the better matchup first, but
Me
guess
too.
he wants to get the rogue out of the way.
Yep.
And this could be a hand to do it if he gets some early one-drop Cold Blood action.
Oof.
Hench Clan ain't bad.
Yeah, with coin and
Yeah.
double 3, that's going to put some early pressure on, force that naturalise. And you don't like naturalising against Odd Rogue because, apart from Myras, they don't really draw cards at you. So if you can run them out of gubbins, you get the job done.
Gubbins! I don't think you said that on a cast with me yet, but I hear it all the time. All the legends.
Finally got it in there.
So already there is a decision as to whether you want to coin the Fledgling or the Hench Clan Thug. Because if you expect that Muzzy has the first piece of removal, it's just naturalized, right? Because he hasn't shown a way to charge up Spellstone. Well, he could technically Spellstone Hero Power. That's my bad. So
Yeah, if you go for
I
the Thug first, you're not going to use your
right,
weapon as
yeah,
well.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that is a snap, respect, naturalize onto the Vicious Fledgling. So BloodTrail just gonna put on the next threat, do Odd Rogue things. Next turn, he can stick a Cold Blood on this, develop the Squire, put up the dagger.
Yeah, you've seen the naturalise, now you play your Giant. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, I mean, this eventually becomes a Giant, doesn't it?
Next turn,
Yeah, it's gonna deal 8 damage next turn, in all likelihood.
just a Giant. He even has the Varspine, which is going to help him too.
Oh, look at that pickup. He goes Dagger, Deadly, and the deckhand he can push face. However, he doesn't get to land the Cold Blood onto the Henchclad Thug. But I think BloodTrail really wants to protect the health on this.
Yeah, I think so too. You're in a hurry, but the hurry isn't win by turn 4. The hurry is get in a position that your opponent can't stop on about turn 6.
Muzzy hoping to draw a swipe or Spellstone here. I think if you're Muzzy, you'd even take a second naturalize because once this gets past the 4 health mark, it's nearly immortal.
Yeah, Spreading Plague not so good against the Rogue because they tend to make 2 or 3 big minions or big-ish minions.
Muzzy can try to dig for the Spellstone with either the Paths or the Howl. Paths feels bad to expend because it's so useful in conjunction with the Spreading Plague.
And the 12 armor you might get from it if you manage to get some sort of control, because the armor's huge against Rogue.
Got the Spellstone and BloodTrail will take this as a signal to go all in. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Lorena, what's better than one Henchclan Thug?
Yeah, 2 Henchclan Thugs and taking away any awkward decisions that may have been available there.
There is still the decision as to whether he wants to play the Squire. And it is coming up on Muzzy's Plague turn. I don't think the Squire does very much for him, so I wouldn't mind just jamming the Cold Blood. And
You might even just re-dagger and then you're just clear to play how you want for the rest of the game. The Cold Blood's very, very tempting. But maybe you feel that if you get that on a Squire, you just win the game, so...
It's true, if you're expecting Plague, on the next turn, just Fungal Mancer will be coming down and then you already have the dagger up. You give up just 4 damage.
Yeah, Plague this, good luck to you.
Yeah. Oh man. Mushroom Power?
Yeah.
Or even just Vile Spining the 4/4 seems better here because it actually protects the board a little bit better so that the 4/4 can't deal its damage.
You can also Void Rip. You've got so many choices here. Like you can trade into one of them with the 9/5, then just Void Ripper it and turn it into this thing that's never ever going to die, and then just kill the other one with a dagger. There's so many options.
Oh man. I like the Vile Spine.
I think the Vile Spine's probably the play I'd go for, but everything's good.
It's true. This is too good. That everything is too good that he's gotta. He's thinking longer.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard when you have a really good hand too, you know. So
I guess he's a little bit concerned about second plague because he's so far ahead, but he is going to go for the Vilespine play.
The good thing that you mentioned about the Void Ripper is that he also gets to fit in that ever amazing dagger hit, which gives his board +2/+2 in total.
Dagger's the best card in this deck, pretty sure.
I mean, you always draw it turn 1.
Yeah.
And it just is always active. Feels good.
Sort of like Patches, but better. It's a good impression of Patches.
This is looking real bad for Muzzy. Not just in the context of this game, but in the overall series, because this was the game he was supposed to take away, and he banned out the even lock just to make room for the Togwaggle Druid to actually get a win against the Rogue. But this kind of draw is absolutely brutal.
Yeah, the Fungalmancer, the final nail in the coffin, but Muzzy's given him 4 extra cards. That's the downside of Naturalize.
Yeah.
The reason it was never played for the longest time, or very rarely played for the longest time, and then suddenly everyone's like, well, we're Druid now, we don't care. But in this matchup, you do care if you have to use Naturalizers, because without them, BloodTrail would have had a mediocre hand, I think.
Leroy in hand. If Muzzy plays Ironwood Golem, there's still the second Vilespine. Yes, Muzzy can heal up a bit this turn with Pass/Howl, but he's not coming up with an answer. 1 plague has been used already. There's just no way to come back. Is there? Swipes?
Gaining armor, but then you've still got to actually do something. That's the main issue.
I don't see it. I think Muzzy is going to have to win Togwaggle Druid against Death Rattle Hunter if
What
he wants
could
to
go
stay
wrong?
in the tournament.
And it must be frustrating because he knows that if he wins this, he's in really good shape for the rest of the event. But that's how bringing a lineup works. If you bring a polarized lineup, you have to never run into the bad one.
It might have been not the best read against the field as well, because I'd say
I
around
agree.
half the players were bringing, if not full aggro lineups, at least 2 or 3.
Yeah. And that's the difficulty of super high level play like this when there's 16 people invited. They all know what each other's thinking to some degree. And even though he lost out, Hunterage was kind of the player who seemed to be the meta about the best, I think, just for a change.
BloodTrail's perspective, he's so far ahead. Saw Muzzy have a super weak turn. The Twig is still 3 turns away from activation, so he's thinking, how do I possibly lose from here? And it has something to do with spreading Plague. But the thing is, Muzzy has already played 1 of them, and he's only coming up on 8 mana. It has to be not just Plague alone, it has to be Plague Pass, and particularly Plague Innervate Pass. A 3-card combo.
BloodTrail wants more stuff.
Wow.
He hasn't drawn enough good stuff this game. He wants the lot.
Oh my gosh. And I mean, it's not cold blood, but it's just everything he needs. The hand the last turn was fine as well, but he just knows that there's no way Muzzy comes back from this position. Like, Innervate UI, I guess, is a thing, but even then, how much damage does that even remove?
Not a lot.
And then he has Leroy in hand. He has SI7 agent. Just nothing can be done.
Swipe doesn't seem to do a whole bunch. He does a whole bunch of nothing.
Okins doesn't even pull anything.
Change your armor. Wondering why he's doing a play that doesn't do anything.
Great.
It gets. I mean, what all these plays are doing is getting him 1 tick closer to UI, proc Twig, perform miracles from there.
Don't see a lethal because BloodTrail doesn't have the mana to go Leroy Vilespine here. Maybe some things with Void Ripper can make something happen. So you Void Ripper, then the Crystallizer can kill the Ironwood Golem, then you have 9, 11, 13, and then Leroy, still 1 off, 19.
So many options.
You see something, Lorena?
I'm just
Yeah.
counting like double UI plus 3 turns of fatigue plus 2 hits with the weapon.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's quite there. And don't ask me how he's supposed to get into that position where he can do that, but UI, Twig,
Yeah.
UI, fatigue was what I was sort of staring at there while you were talking. But obviously, the downfall of that particular play is you're getting hit in the face for 1 million every turn, and you've got to stop that in the process.
This guy's toast.
I wonder if just putting Muzzy at 1 was okay there because the only way Muzzy can survive another turn from here, it's not UI, there's no way. He would have to go Plague Pass, in which case he's not armoring up. Unless, okay, wait, you can take 1 tick of armor on the paths and 1 tick of attack. So just setting up for SI lethal wasn't great either. So yeah, just going for Fungal Mancer seems solid. Muzzy didn't have those outs we were talking about anyway. So BloodTrail is going to take the series 2-2. He gets his unfavorable out of the way. And Muzzy now has to win a highly RIP matchup, according to your notes.
Yeah, there's...
It's Muzzy. But then again, I mean, we've been talking so much about Muzzy, the best player in the world, if not in the top 2.
So,
and Kellis, wow.
Just to reinforce that point, as you point out the fact he's going to win, BloodTrail has the 15th most points in the world this year without going much on the tour. He's only played a handful of tour stops.
That's insane.
And he's 15th in the whole... Yeah, he picked up a lot of points from the playoffs. It's insane.
Yeah.
The guy is good at Hearthstone.
Top 8 at 2 playoffs, was it? Or just something really incredible.
Well, championships. He went through to 2 championships. So... to put that into context, that's only 27 fewer points than Muzzy, who has played nearly every tour stop and is regarded as, one of the top 3 or 4 players in the entire world. So yeah, BloodTrail, you're right, we haven't talked about him enough, and he is a massive force to be reckoned with. And I think the people who were casting and around him for the second champs were saying just how he changed, how he improved so much with his demeanor.
Probably somebody that the non-Taiwanese casters and community would underestimate, but it would be just another notch under his belt to take the win off of Muzzy if that happens. But Muzzy had quite a strong start as well with the coin growth into Oaken Summons. Got that cycle going. He has the Nourish after next turn. Imagine he just want to play down the other Ironward Golem here. And BloodTrail had the early Keleseth, but this is not the kind of early game pressure he wants to be putting on. Spider Bombs.
Yeah, I mean, apart from the Keleseth, there's nothing really, relative to his deck, there's nothing really going on.
And it feels bad for Muzzy to put down the Ironwood Golem just to die to the 2/2 Spider Bomb. But, I mean, can you really be complaining if it's not an insane early game?
I think he'd take this if he was offered it. Maybe not so much now, but yeah. This is fine for Muzzy. It's not fine at all, but the matchup's not fine to start with. This will do.
Right. So Nourish, the first one for mana, and the next turn for draw, most likely. There's also a consideration for going for Plague this turn, just because it kind of lines up nicely into those 1 health minions. I guess not the Spider Bomb technically, but yeah. BloodTrail is very likely to go a bit wider on the next turn, so Muzzy is gonna invest the turn to get more mana.
This is important tracking. BloodTrail is out of medium-term threats.
So, the Devilsaur cannot attack heroes the turn fate. Duh, it says that on the card text. But just slamming it on turn 8 and then curving into turn 9 with King Crush, both of them can attack face by that point. Seems really strong. BloodTrail will give it up in favor of having something to do on turn 7, which I can totally respect, because if he had taken the charged Devilsaur, nothing to do on the follow-up.
Was he likely to dump the Golem here? Just to make sure his Dream Florist has a nice clear run after the UI?
Yeah.
If he thinks he can get away with it, I mean, you might just die. That's a downside.
Could go for a type of naturalized Plague play and fit in a hero power as well. You can pop the cube to generate more stuff. But it probably...
A naturalized Plague looks decent.
What's in the cube again? Is it Spider Bombs?
Yeah.
Okay, so that doesn't work out anyway, because the Spider Bombs can eventually kill the Plague minions, so this looks fine. Man. Whoa.
Not the stuff he was looking for. It's good, but it,
Oh, it's a Grizzly, it's not Spider Bomb.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
We were tunneled on Muzzy's hand quite a bit there.
Eye on the 4/4. Muzzy looking really, really far behind now. Yes, he's at 24, but BloodTrail has King Crush the turn after next.
Muzzy getting the double Tyrant, but no, only getting one. There was a lag there.
Yeah.
Sorry. Spellstones.
So if you're BloodTrail, you probably value the smart hero power a bit more right now. So
Yeah.
you could just flanking away the 4/4 with his candle shot if he wants to. Just puts another minion onto the board. But then again, there is always this perennial threat of spreading plague. And the way the board is now, Muzzy's minions cannot actually kill themselves off into the Grizzlies. So it's really good against plague, the board that BloodTrail currently has.
Yeah, and he has King Crush and Candle Shot Face as an available lethal, or just King Crush now. And
Whoa, paths! Plague paths! This is the play that Muzzy had to take the win against Samuel Tsao's even Shaman, where we thought would be a complete blowout because of the anti-magic shell, but he could do it again.
yeah,
I mean, what's better this turn?
so he saw BloodTrail take a card and then not play it. So he thinks it's Katharina or Rexar. I think that's the thing that he's likely to know.
Muzzy was pointing the Spellstone on the cube there. It could go for an even wider plague, but sacrifice the attack buffs for a turn? I mean, put it off for a turn?
Looks that way.
That means that BloodTrail will be able to keep his board a bit healthier.
I think Muzzy's playing to draw the second plague, honestly, here.
Sure, and that might be his only out, because BloodTrail could have cleared the majority of those minions, and he even has this Rexar. Oh my god, this Rexar is insane.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't think Muzzy was overly excited
Right.
about all of this, because that's what I'm saying. It's either Katharina or it's Rexar, and I don't think you beat the Rexar. Oh, it's both. You okay?
I'm
She's
fine.
not okay.
I'm fine. I mean, was it not Rexar this turn?
I
Linda?
thought so.
I mean, it looks...
I really thought so.
Okay, I wasn't paying enough attention to keep track that there were no beasts in the Katharina.
I'm not sure that BloodTrail was either.
Yeah, and even if there were a beast, I still feel like Rexar was better there.
Yeah.
I'm unsure.
BloodTrail looked a bit uncomfortable with that. Yeah, sorry, cut you off.
No, it's okay. But then again, if he's expecting the second plague, which Muzzy realistically needs to win, this is better against that. Because your board is still big enough to punch through. First of all, two of these plagues cannot deal their damage and suicide away into the Grizzlies. So perhaps this was just better, saving Rexar for the only way BloodTrail could possibly lose, which is second plague into Pat.
I think if Muzzy had like 45 mana this turn, he could win this game quite easily.
I could say that about nearly any deck.
I don't know. I've seen the show match lineup.
Okay.
Time waits for no one.
Yeah, Muzzy just staying alive. That's all he can try and do.
Just barely. He is at 27. He's given BloodTrail a lot of refill.
If he can get the board state kind of level, he might just be able to Azalina and hope.
There's no world where that happens, especially with King Crush coming
It's
down
not happening.
after the double nats.
All right, need your plague again, Muzz. I think he's set up the situation where he's needed that on purpose for a while now. And that would buy him a turn, except Rexar has been kept back by BloodTrail for such an eventuality.
And I see your notes. They say RIP, and I've never felt it more than right now.
Does seem like Muzzy's in a fairly tough spot. There is the plague, but it's probably just more time.
There's Plague Pass, okay. But these Grizzlies are just insane. Like, the whole point of Plague Pass is to buy you enough time to soften up the board for swipes. But then the Grizzlies can just eat 3 trades into the buffed up Plagues. Like, it's no big deal.
So I'm just looking for anything that works, but I can't see anything. But Muzzy is down to 4 cards in deck. All he has to do is kill this 44 health of minions that's on the board, and he's fine.
There should be a combination of lethal, right? I don't know.
I mean...
Between Rexar and... oh, maybe not.
Yeah, there's...
Rexar and the 3 Grizzlies trading has 2 more 3/5s onto the board. The double terror scales. Yeah, you can only afford to play one. But it's lethal in practice.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to just win the game. Muzzy cannot
theory.
deal with all of
Oh
this
my God.
stuff. Practice theory.
Yeah,
technique.
praxis
In reality.
in eventuality. Simply the power of this Death Rattle Hunter, or perhaps the drawbacks of the Togwaggle Druid. I mean, Druid was nerfed. Muzzy thought it was still a good bring. Unfortunately, this was not the kind of matchup he was looking for, not the kind of lineup he wanted to face. I'm sure Tog is still insane against the Control Warriors and Control Mages and Control Priests of the world. But that is not this world.
Doesn't seem to be. Yeah, Muzzy seems to be sort of getting ready to.
I mean, this is a really quick build a beast into... Is this lethal? Not quite.
You're the county person.
It's going too fast, Lauren. I mean, I gave it up a couple turns
Yeah,
ago
we both
already.
did, I feel.
Yeah.
I think Muzzy's just letting BloodTrail have a moment there, yeah.
And the crowd goes wild. BloodTrail,
Whoa.
an obvious fan favorite. And so nice to look behind me. The fans have those little, what do you call